Pakistani channel of All India Radio on medium wave 50.5 meters corresponding to 666 kHz. Please stand by. This is All India Radio. We now bring you the comments from the press.
This is All India Radio. You will now hear comments from the press. The Tribune, in its editorial title Communalizing Kartarpur, says Sri Guru Nanak Dev is revered as a great Indian prophet who preached truth, service and unity of God, founding India's youngest religion, which has offered the greatest sacrifice against invaders from the West, shaping the Indian nation. Yet there are acrimonious notes of discord from across the western border on the pious occasion of his 550th birth anniversary. Pakistan was born out of religious bigotry and violent animosity towards the very idea of peaceful coexistence between Muslims and other communities, which forced Sikhs and Hindus to flee present-day Pakistan, leaving behind the sacred shrine of Darbar Sahib at Kartarpur. For a saint who was guru to the Hindus and a peer to the Muslims, the Pakistan government has been trying to turn the Kartarpur pilgrimage into an Indo-Pak slanging match over communal identities. It all began with the Pakistan government insisting that it would allow only Sikhs to travel to Kartarpur to worship the Guru at his holy Gurdwara. The statement reeked of communal politics. Many Hindus of Punjab and elsewhere venerate the Guru and follow his teachings, and they can be seen offering prayers at any given time of the day in many Gurudwaras across the country. The Pioneer, in its editorial title Breach Most Foul, writes, information warfare is winning elections, changing regimes and recasting people's opinions and policy across the world. And social media platforms have emerged as the favored tools given their porosity and vulnerabilities. Hackers have been used to spread malware across the information highway, commissioned by vested interest, corporations and even governments to mine sensitive data. Clearly, social messaging platform WhatsApp has not been able to prove itself from hackers who have injected 1.5 billion phones with surveillance software despite an update in May. Many experts then had even warned that the military-grade software transmitted through something as basic as missed call could now be used by less sophisticated hackers. So it's no surprise that the messaging companies now confirmed that an Israeli spyware called Pegasus was used by operators to spy on journalists and human rights activists in India. It said it was aware of those targeted and had reached out to them, but refused to put out a number, though it claimed it was not insignificant. The Economic Times, in its editorial title The Case for Better Health Statistics, writes, the 2019 National Health Profile, which should provide a snapshot of the country's performance in terms of key outcome indicators, access to healthcare and financing, is outdated and offers bad publicity for India's capability to marshal and deploy data at the speed of the electron. What is clear is that public expenditure on health continues to be low at 1.28% of GDP, 2017-18 budget estimates, behind the figure for countries in the Southeast Asian region. The continued low level of spending health has accounted for 1% of GDP since 2009-10 is reflected in performance indicators. The report relies on old data, 2011 for the sex ratio, 2016 for birth and death rates, and 2014 and 2015-16 for financing. It fails to take into account the granular impact of policy and programs geared to universalizing healthcare. Even the government's flagship health initiative, Ayushman Bharat, has not been properly accounted for. This diminishes the report's utility. The Asian Age, in its editorial title Climate Will Lead to Conflict, says rising sea levels may prove a threat to millions or more people than previously thought, as new research based on a more accurate way of calculating land elevation now reveals that earlier reports were far too optimistic in their projections. The danger of seas rising because of uncontrolled carbon emissions and environmental degradation caused by mankind predicts that large swathes of land in coastal cities like Mumbai and Chennai in India and many more around the world, especially in Asia, will lie far below the high tide line by 2050. And this is not a scary scenario thought up by Hollywood writers creating scripts for a movie based on a dystopian future. Recall what happened to New Orleans in 2005 as a result of an extreme climate event, and it might just tell the story of the kind of danger the world is facing. The Times of India, in its editorial title Climb This Mountain, says there are countless opportunities lurking in the nooks and crannies of this country, which but await someone seeing them. In the newly minted Union territory of Ladakh, the summer is short, while the winter is long, harsh and mind-bending. But for 19 women who form a national ice hockey team, it is the time when the region turns into the playground. Did you even know that India boasts a women's ice hockey team? Theirs is an archetypal against the odds story. The team's goalkeeper Noor Jahan says that they started out with equipment borrowed from the men's team, where the gear would be oversized, sometimes with the skates too tight. What they did have were local lakes and ponds that would helpfully freeze and let them practice. Those were the comments from the press present.
This is the Delhi station